Hello, everyone, and welcome to the All Four Downs podcast with Hector V and myself, Obi-Wan. It is the NFL Week 16 as we get closer to the end of the season. Playoff implications is happening, and Hector, you've been doing outstanding consecutively throughout these weeks with your picks and everything else. So I'm probably going to take a back seat because no one's really going to listen to me by now or which team is going to win. But there's a lot of football left, of course. Anything can
Mhm.
happen. But we
Yeah.
do have teams that are already clinched. And the mysterious, I got to say, is like, are the gods in favor of the Chiefs? I mean, how much more luck could the Chiefs have in all these games and just have one loss?
I know you gotta really be on some kind of super A game in order to win the way they have been winning, and it's just like, do you can you be happy for them the way they're doing it, or
I'm
can
not, I'm
or
not
are you
happy.
or you hate or do you hate on them because they should be losing these games because if you're not a Chiefs fan, if you're a fan of 131 other teams, I would think you kind of sour there because it's like, how are they be able to do it, but my team can't do it? It's like,
Right.
can you steal a page out of their book for me,
And then
please?
watch this. Their point differential is a positive 70. And then you look at like the teams like the Eagles and the Lions and the Vikings, they're all triple digits. And you'd be like, damn, you're 13-1 record, but you're not blowing these teams away. It's
Right.
almost like a chess match. I mean, look at the Buffalo Bills that plus 135, and yet they're 11-3,
Yeah.
right? So I'm just curious. Now they're 7-0 at home, 6-1 away. Yeah, but I think they could have got a couple of more losses, even from week one. And you mentioned it already, all because of a toe. That's
Oh,
how
that's how,
that's how bad you got to beat the Chiefs. You got to put them toes inside, baby.
for real. You gotta put them toes in and make sure they don't block.
Oh, oh man, this is too comical. But hey, this is the All Four Downs podcast. Every Tuesday, I give you the insights on college football, and on Thursdays before the Thursday night football game, we covered all our picks for the NFL. And there's a new positions, update injuries. I mean, you got to catch everything up to know what's going on around the NFL before you make those picks. And lately, I've been going blind, and usually by the time I'll be like, "Damn, why I picked that?" If they have a new quarterback here and there, so it is what it is. But hey, we'll move forward here, and let's talk about right now update on the top 5 teams per category. And I'll start with the top passing team, and that is the Cincinnati Bengals, Detroit Lions, Baltimore Ravens, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Seattle Seahawks. Not surprised there, except that Cincinnati being the number one team in passing yardage, yet they're about to get eliminated from the playoffs. I mean,
But
they're in
yeah,
the bottom. They're like their mouth is above the water, right?
yeah.
Trying to get that air, and they're just that point right now because one more game they lose, and that is it
Uh,
for the Bengals.
yeah. But it could be a point where they could just start winning all these games. They could just turn it up at the last minute. I don't know. This team is very confusing. I would have never thought to see a team. I mean, I could just imagine how the Bengal fans feel. You showing all this potential, you putting up great numbers as a team, but yet you can't seem to finish and win the game.
But the difference is they got offense, but no defense. But that's the life of the Bengals that we knew even when they went to the Super Bowl. They didn't have great defense. They were
Yeah.
relying on Joe Burrow, right? And yet no
Mhm.
improvements there because if they would have improved on their defense, they could have been just a lot better than the Chiefs. But
Yeah.
it is what it is. The Lions, I'm not surprised. We've mentioned them already about their explosive offense, right? And their point differential. But I'm just afraid of them on the other side that their players are falling down, man. Their
Yeah.
injuries are catching up, and I'm just afraid if they're gonna make it. Top rushing teams: Eagles, Ravens, Commanders, Packers, and Buccaneers. And then the top scoring teams: the Lions, the Bills, Ravens, Buccaneers, and Bengals. There's some teams are repeated, and Baltimore is like an all three right now, looking
Hmm.
like they're the favorites in the AFC.
You would think at this point, it doesn't. It's that old adage saying, it's not how you start, but how you finish, and that's
Right.
what Baltimore's doing right now. Buffalo probably could give them, an argument as far as who's the better team at this point because the way Buffalo's played the last 2 weeks. But you have to show some kind of defense, and Buffalo has not shown that in the last 2 weeks. Yeah, you put up about 100 points, but you're giving up about 95 points. And, that's not going to win you a Super Bowl. You got to
Uh
be
huh.
careful with that. And at least Baltimore, they know how to play defense to a certain point. It's just one of those things that they just got to. You don't know what Ravens team is coming in what quarter because they can give up a lot of points in the first quarter or the fourth quarter. They're not a four quarter consistent team. They're like
Not
maybe
consistent on the start and not consistent how they finish. I
yeah.
definitely understand you on that one. And the other team that's in all three categories is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but no one seems to be talking about them.
That is the dark horse. That is the dark horse in the NFC right now. You cannot sleep on them. The way they're playing, and I know we're going to get to that game later on with the Cowboys. Um, don't let that record fool you. The way they're playing right now, man, they know how to play with the big dogs.
And again, healthier at the right time.
If they know how to clean things up against the teams that they should be winning, they would be talking about they're fighting for the number one seed because they have proven this year that they can play with the big dogs and they can beat the big dogs.
All
They
right.
just lose.
Okay.
They losing to the little dogs. That's what's their problem.
Well, little dogs turn out to be big dogs because here on the other side of the ball is the top defenses. On the best defensive passing game are the Eagles, 49ers, Titans, Commanders, and the New York Jets. Yeah, I know the Jets at number 5. Best defensive rushing team: Ravens, Vikings, Chiefs, Steelers, Broncos, and the least amount of points given up. Number 1, the Denver Broncos, then the Chargers, Eagles, Vikings, Chiefs. Then there you have it right there. When it comes to defense, um,
You,
who are we more fear of? The Eagles, which at the beginning of the season we only heard nothing but negativity about those Eagles, and they're
I,
on the win streak, but yet people are still on edge about the Eagles.
I'm going to look at the points because if you can give up passing yards, you can give up rushing yards, but if you're not giving up the points, then that's a recipe for success. And yeah. So the Eagles, they can stop the pass, and the Ravens can stop the run, but the Broncos are not giving up a lot of points. It's just can the Broncos put the points up to win these games? I mean, they're floating above sea level just a little bit, and we'll get to that in a minute. But you know, you see the Eagles and the Ravens, they're only one dimensional when it comes to what part of the defense that they're on top of. You see,
Right,
you don't see either one of them in both categories in top defensive rush and pass. It's just one or the other.
right,
You know what I'm saying,
right.
so that's what kind of worries me. Is like you're only one dimensional, and when it gets to the time to the playoffs and even into the Super Bowl, you're gonna have to be able to stop both sides of the ball in order to win the game. And so, well,
All
it's
right,
crazy because we don't see teams like Detroit up there. We don't see Buffalo up there.
man.
Uh,
Why would you see Detroit? You see that game last week
oh,
against
I
the
know.
Bills? I mean,
No,
damn, were they
no,
going
I'm
for a
just saying.
four game?
I'm just saying. It's just amazing that we don't see them in the top defensive category,
I
but
wouldn't
yet,
either. I'm not
but
surprised.
yet they're 12-2, just like the Vikings and the Packers, who are 10-4.
Oh, I
It's
was
like
hoping one of them would like throw a 3-pointer or something, man. The way that game was going.
alley oop, something, man.
All right. Looking at the top 4 teams in the AFC, and that's the Kansas City Chiefs, 2-game lead over the Bills. The Steelers are holding strong there, and the AFC North, and the Houston Texans already clinched the AFC South. Uh, Amazing how the Texans and the Chiefs, they actually play this week. It's
Oh,
interesting to see how they played that game. Will the starters could play the whole game, half a game, and then Mahomes being hurt a little bit? More on that later. But looking at these top four, I would have thought already that the Steelers will fall out, but they're proving me wrong. But yeah, they're also dealing with injuries. The Bills, yeah, they know how to throw some points up, but what happened to their defense?
Yeah,
Oh, it's crazy.
there's
But I'm
definitely no
also
defense.
looking at the division record, which is probably the most important thing right there, is that both the Chiefs and the Bills are still they're undefeated within their own division.
Yo, yeah, and I think what hurts Buffalo is that loss a couple of weeks ago to the Rams.
Mm,
That's what hurt them because we could be talking about right now they be fighting for that one seed, but it's like two games behind Kansas City, and there's only three games left. You're pushing it. I mean,
right.
you can almost say that Kansas City is going to clinch that number one spot, and that's the game that hurts Buffalo. No matter
We'll
how
see
well they're
what
doing
happens this
in
weekend, though.
division records are outstanding. Conference record is good, but yeah,
Yeah, you're right. Talk about conference record. We'll go ahead and there because the fact that you're looking at the whole entire playoffs. We just mentioned the Bengals, they're holding by a thread there, right? Out of the 6-win teams, they're in the bottom. But the Colts, Dolphins, and Bengals are all three could potentially get eliminated, right? Depending on the other scenarios, but not so fast. Ain't gonna happen this weekend because you do have the Chargers. If I'm not mistaken, the Chargers, yeah, right, that's right. It's tonight's game. The
yes.
Broncos and the Chargers are playing. So there's still enough cushion because it's a 6 and 7 seed,
Yeah,
right?
because the fact what was crazy, and please
Mhm.
correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe if the Chargers win this game tonight, they clinch a playoff spot, but the Broncos don't with a loss. Yeah, that's what's
Right,
crazy.
right.
They'll have the same record, but the Chargers will clinch the playoff spot. And that leaves Denver in the hole to try to win their next three games, to make that
Oh,
playoff spot.
either or, I think all three, but I think the Bengals are just that close. But hey, correct me if I'm wrong. That's all right. Looking at the rest, I mean, uh, the Baltimore Ravens looking comfortable right now, but the Ravens will take on the Steelers for the fight for first place there.
Yeah.
Um, and then who else is left? I mean, there's a lot of playoff scenarios. Like I said, like I think a lot of top teams are not going after each other, and the ones in the bottom they need to take advantage of those that are losing from above them,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, that's exactly right. You're
But
looking at
we're
the
like you
top
said.
7 teams are actually battling it out between now and week 18. So that gives the teams like the Colts, Dolphins, and Bengals a fighting chance to say, hey, look, we can actually sneak in here because all the top dogs actually having to play each other. And here we are 3 weeks from now, we're going to be talking about playoffs, and we can look back at week 16 where this separated everybody because now the football gods had created a schedule to where the top dogs are all playing each other, and this is definitely going to separate things.
All right, 4 teams in out of the 10 teams that's still alive in the AFC. Let's go ahead and jump on to the NFC. The Lions, Eagles, Buccaneers, and Rams are top of their division. Surprisingly, like I said, the NFC West, excuse me, the NFC West is confusing to me because every week we look at it and there's always a different team in first place. Okay, so it's going to be interesting to see how this will end. Lions, Eagles tied 12-2. Lions own the tiebreaker with the best conference record at 8-1. But the Lions they got some schedules coming up. We'll talk about that. The Eagles have a rivalry game they got to play, so there's a lot. The Buccaneers looking like they're strong, and they're actually extending that gap. So there's a big debacle going on in the NFC South, and looking at 13 teams altogether. Well, out of the 13, two already clinched. I'm sorry, three that clinched to the playoffs. You have the Lions, Eagles, and Vikings. But down, like you said, look, Green Bay backers, the Green Bay Packers, 10-4. They're looking strong and leading the way to clinch at least the 6th seed. Then you got the Commanders, the Seahawks. I mean, the Seahawks are outside looking in, and for a moment you thought that the Seahawks were going to take the West. It's anybody's game when it comes to that division, and we're going to talk about that later. But then the Falcons, Cardinals, both tied at with 7 wins. The 49ers and the Cowboys are still alive, and the Saints are the ones that the Saints are gonna be ain'ts pretty soon. Because I don't. There's no way that the Saints are gonna just win 3 straight games or 4 straight games to catch up. It's just not gonna happen, especially the
Yeah.
way their season's going. And I know the Cowboys are not gonna make it. They're trying to make that strong point right now, but I think it's too little, too late.
Yeah, with the Cowboys, I think they're needing a miracle here because with the schedule they got that's kind of brutal running down the schedule, they have to win out and hope that the West or the South beats each other up to the point where they can sneak in as that wild card. Because as you see, only one team is coming out of there. The way it is.
Right.
What concerns me though is the Packers. They're 9-1 outside of their division, but they can't seem to win in their division. And if it happens to come to a point in the playoff, they run into Minnesota or Detroit, that's not going to bode well for them. They have to find a way of staying away from them, which is going to be almost impossible because
I
look
think
at
they're
that.
safe. I think they're safe with 10 wins. I think they're safe. And I tell you that because I just don't see how maybe the Seahawks and Commanders, maybe, but I don't see like the Falcons reaching up to 10 wins. I
No, no,
just don't
no.
see
The
it. You know
Packers
what I
will
mean?
make the playoffs, but I'm just
Mhm.
saying that in the play when the Packers get to the playoffs, I'm just concerned that when running into Minnesota or Detroit, it's not going to bode well for
It's
them.
always harder to play the team for the third
Yeah,
time,
yeah, I
right?
get it. But look at
So
that. They only got one win in their division left, and they still got some games to
they
go.
got 2 more games left. So
Yeah, right. And
we'll
that's
see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. But focusing more closely to the South and the West, you're looking at their standings. The Bucks are leading by 1 game, and you look at their their different records between home and away. The Bucks are 3-4 at home and 5-2 on the way. Can imagine that if they was to clinch the playoffs, they have to host 1 game, right?
right.
They will have to win. You will want them to lose because if they hit the road, Tampa Bay Buccaneers is just a different team. So they're
Yeah,
dangerous on the road.
but I do like Tampa Bay though. I mean, they for them being 8-6,
Mm-hmm.
they they are a big threat. They're a very big threat. I mean, especially
Yeah,
the way things are going right now, the way they're playing. And so I feel confident that they're going to win this South, even though they got a 1 game lead on the Falcons.
it seems that way because even the Atlanta Falcons are changing quarterbacks. They're now going for Michael Penix Jr. to be the starting quarterback, and they're benching Kirk Cousins. So that big contract that they give Cousins to lead the Falcons to a playoff, well, that was bad investment. I mean, if he was that good, he could have just stayed with the Vikings, right? And look how
Now,
the Vikings are playing. They're
I'm
playing
not
better without him.
I'm not going to fault the Buccaneers at home because they had a tough gauntlet of a schedule at home. They lost at home to the 49ers, which they should have won that game. I get it. They lost to the Falcons. It's a division game. But then they lost to the Ravens and they lost to the Broncos. Okay, you gotta give them the Ravens and the Broncos are two good teams, and they just had to draw them at home. You see, so that kind of helped. That kind of hurt the Buccaneers there. But when you
Yeah,
talk
but
about
they're
the
playoff
road,
playoff teams though. But you talking about playoff teams? That's who they're playing. They're playing playoff teams.
but they
That's
did
what
beat
I'm
the
saying.
Eagles at home. They did beat the Eagles at home, so that counts for something there.
All
And
right,
they beat Washington at home. So there's two good wins at home against two good teams.
all right.
So
Rams and the Seahawks tied at first place in the NFC West. Cardinals 1 game
mhm.
behind. The 49ers 2 games behind. 14 games. That means there's 3 games left. Who wins the West?
Man, I like the way the Rams are playing all of a sudden. It seemed like they just woke things up. And
Mm-hmm.
they got 2 division games left, and that's going to be the make or break them. But I just like the way they're playing. I mean, look, they're 3-1 in their division, so they can win the division games. I like the Rams the way that they're playing. The Seahawks, they to me they're shaky. Cardinals are just there just to put up a fight. That's about it. And the 49ers, they're done. I'm
Ah,
sorry.
yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Hey, listen. Prediction before we make our picks, 'cause I know that Thursday night game is about to start. The best possible Super Bowl matchups that I said. These are my top three. You could agree, disagree, and let me know what other teams could be in a combo on this one. But I'm predicting Ravens versus Vikings, Chiefs versus Lions, Bills versus Eagles. What's your
So
take on this?
I think the most predictable one is the Chiefs and the Lions.
Because
That's the
they're the
most
top of their conference. Okay.
correct. Correct.
Right.
But I'm going to stay away from that one. Out of your three, I have something different. But out of your three, I like the Bills and the Eagles.
Oh, yeah.
I like that matchup right there.
Fair
I
enough.
really do. I really do. You're talking
Okay.
about two big offensive, explosive teams right there. This
Mhm.
could be a very high scoring Super Bowl if that were to happen.
Okay. Gotcha. Bills win that game, though, by the way.
I would say the Bills would win that game if it's a shootout. Yes. Let them hoist up that first trophy ever. Yeah.
Yeah, that brings Kelly out of whatever medical condition he's in, right?
He'll be there to celebrate. Yeah.
I have one more after this. I only put the top three, but what one game do you like to watch? Or like, would you like to see in the Super Bowl?
I would like to see the Ravens against the Lions.
Ooh, the Ravens versus the Lions.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. I
I,
like that.
I just want to see how, this high offensive explosive of that Detroit have versus what everybody thinks to be Mr. MVP over there in Baltimore. You
Well, he
know,
didn't show his MVP as of late,
no,
so
I get it. I get
don't
it.
don't show off because you played the Giants because that don't count.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
that was a scrimmage game. Yeah.
There's one more that I while I was talking to you, we are going back and forth for top teams. What about the Chargers versus the Buccaneers?
That would be very interesting.
All right,
That would
fair
be
enough.
very, very interesting. I like that. I do like that.
All right. More talks about the possibilities of Super Bowl matchups as we get closer to the playoffs. But for now, let's go ahead and move on to the Thursday night football game between the Denver Broncos and the Los Angeles Chargers. 9-5 Broncos, 8-6 Chargers. A lot of people convinced that the Chargers may win this game. What's your take on it? You're the champ. You go first.
I'm gonna go. This was a very difficult game for me to pick. I mean, straight off the top, we're starting off. I'm glad they flexed this game into this. I don't want to talk about too much, but I'm glad they put this game instead of the Cleveland Cincinnati game. But let's get straight to it. I know the game is kicking off. I'm going with the Denver Broncos here.
Oh
Okay.
man, I'm just surprised that you made. We're already starting out on the right foot. I like it. You
Yeah.
take the Broncos, and I'm definitely taking the Chargers. Come on, Chargers. All
Yeah.
right, let's not give up. 8-6.
No.
You got the head coach that you got out of University of Michigan to lead your team to fix all the stuff that the previous coach couldn't do.
Right.
All right. Let's stop gambling and start playing right. I got the Chargers at home. It was a short week preparation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the Denver Broncos are one of the best defenses right now in the NFL, but you still got Bo Nix. That's a rookie quarterback.
Correct.
Let's go Chargers. I'm taking the Chargers.
Nice.
All right. So there we have it. Already, we got one game difference. Moving on to the next. The Houston Texans versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Mahomes will be playing this weekend. However, I bet he is limited. And if it maybe a half a game and then he get pulled out. But on the other side, the Houston Texans got nothing to play for either. So how is this game going to differentiate? Like, there's a lot of cushion for the Chiefs, right? I'm taking the Kansas City Chiefs to play it safe.
You're right. Houston don't have nothing to play for, but just the bragging rights that the fact that if you can knock off the Chiefs will be something, make this whole AFC race a little more interesting. Because Houston is stuck where they're at. They're not going. I mean, there's nothing more they can do. They're stuck where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trusting more of Kansas City in this situation right here. I'm not worried about Patrick Mahomes banged up. I mean, you got a decent backup quarterback if he was not to play. And I say decent. I'm not saying he's the best, but he's a
Mm,
decent backup quarterback,
mm.
Carson Wentz. So
Carson Wentz to me is a guy that after he suffered that major injury, he has never been the same. And
yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's haunting him because he was the elite quarterback,
yeah.
you know,
He's
but
bounced
it
around from team to
sucks.
team. Yeah,
Yeah. All right. So we're both going for the Chiefs, right?
yeah. We'll go both.
Outstanding. Let's go ahead and move on to the Steelers versus the Ravens. Prior to game of the week, the Steelers came on top against the Ravens. They're in their first meet. Now they're in Baltimore. I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens to win this game.
Yeah, I'm taking the Ravens too, man. Think George Pickens and T.J. Watt are kind of banged up, and if they don't play, that's going to be just cause a. That's just going to spell disaster for the Steelers. They already lost to Philadelphia last week, and now you're playing another tough team. These are games that Pittsburgh needs to pick up and win. I mean, they have proven to us that they know what they do. They know
I
how
just
to
think,
get the thing going. But
yeah, I'm scratching my head because I know they know how to play Lamar Jackson very well,
right, he's
right?
8-1
But
since
as you
2020.
said, but as soon as we got injuries and stuff like that, I'm like, I'll be safe and take the Ravens. So
Yeah, I mean
yeah,
they're 8-1 against the Ravens since 2020, but that right now doesn't
right,
matter. We're not talking about that right now.
yeah. But we are talking about the Browns and the Bengals. Browns already eliminated. The Bengals, I mean, they're on the rise at the wrong time, but I mean they should have been doing this a lot earlier. But I'm still afraid that they don't have that defense. Uh, I'm still taking the Bengals. Really, I'm taking the Bengals for the win. The Battle of Ohio, and I'm just afraid that that defense. It could be a high score game because that's what the defense will allow the Browns to do.
Yeah, I got the Bengals too. I mean, you would look at Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, man. They're playing like the MVP caliber type football, but yet they got a losing record here. I
Defense.
yeah, I know.
They
Eh,
don't play defense. Defense got to play their job. Or, hey, how about you fire your defensive coordinator and get yourself a good one and start drafting some good players or take advantage of the free agency because you've been doing that ever since. I don't know what happened since the Super Bowl. Or is it
yeah,
because money? Because you got to have to start paying these wide receivers or one of these wide receivers has got to go.
yeah. We know
That's
about
a
that.
lot of wide receiver talent, and one of them got to go. And Jamar Chase is not the one that's going to leave the
No.
Bengals. I'm sorry, he ain't the one.
Mm-mm.
No, the Giants and the Falcons. The Falcons are starting a new quarterback, Michael Penix Jr. Kirk Cousins has been turning over the ball for the last few weeks, and they're getting frustrated. And it was time to sit them down. You're welcome. You set it down in Washington. They don't want you in Minnesota, and now the Dirty South don't want you. So bye bye, Cousins.
And
And
you would
yeah,
think 7-7 and you're benching them. You just beat the Raiders last week and you're benching them.
yeah, but it's the way they beat them, though.
I get
I
it.
mean, you're
It
supposed to
makes
be blowing the Raiders out. It was a low score game. It's like playing
yeah,
baseball.
yeah, it was. It
Yeah.
was.
But on the other side, the Giants got nothing. They're playing for first place in the draft. And I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of first rounds because you're not going to get a valid first round pick. I'm sorry, you're not. I mean,
Not even a number 2 pick if the Raiders get number
now
one.
now that I'm seeing what everything's calculating in college football, there's not really a top quarterback. It's not unless you supposedly get Dylan Gabriel, which is more mature. But other than that, I mean, I just don't know what you're going to get with everybody else, all
Well,
right? Because
life.
everybody's it's all about themselves and about the money, whatever, dude.
I
But
mean, you know,
anyways, the Falcons that got this game, they should get this game. They should.
yeah, Forrest Gump said it best. You know, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Yeah,
Yeah, and we
Falcons all the
never
way.
know what we're going to get in this game. The Lions and the Bears. The Lions defense is getting banged up, and it showed last week. They allowed so many points, allowing the Bills to win, and yet somehow, some way, that defense. Well, no, I'm gonna say that they have made a little bit of improvement, but that Lions offense was spectacular. How's that gonna play out with the Bears, especially when the Bears almost had a chance of beating the Detroit Lions? That costed their head coach fired after Thanksgiving.
For real. Hope he got a full belly before he got fired. Yeah.
I got the Lions winning.
I got the Lions too. I just see them cleaning up what other little mess that they made on Thanksgiving, despite the injuries that they have, because they got bigger fish to fry after this game.
All right, the Titans versus the Colts.
I got the Colts. I mean,
I got the Colts as well. I got them 94%. Yeah, and I believe the Titans are also replacing their quarterback. Levis is not playing. He is not starting in this game.
no, I think it might be Rudolph. I think it's gonna be.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Yeah,
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 it's
yeah.
unclear, but I think he's gonna wind up
No, no,
starting.
no. They made the change already. Yeah.
Okay, so he is
All right.
starting. Then.
The Rams versus the Jets. I'm taking the Rams. I want them to beat the Jets down. I want them to torture Aaron Rodgers. I want them to. Oh, let me hold myself. Yes, I'm picking the Rams to beat the Jets.
Yeah, I'm taking the Rams too. I mean, the Jets just can't seem to get out their own way with Aaron Rodgers.
Well, they won last week though.
Look who they played though.
Exactly. Moving on.
Okay.
Eagles and Commanders. I got the
Okay.
Eagles.
Yeah, I got the Eagles too. This is going to be a much more interesting game, besides the two we just spoke about. But yeah,
Yeah,
I think the
yeah.
Commanders are actually going to give this. This is going to be a very hard win for the Eagles. They want this. They're going to have to really come at it because Washington is not just going to lay over for anybody. And they,
No, but if I'm the Commanders, I'll be careful because y'all been slipping lately. Y'all been losing more games than winning games. That's not good. It's not good. I'm telling
no,
you, it's not
it's
good.
not, especially with the Cowboys breathing down your neck, and you already lost to the Cowboys.
Word,
Yeah,
word. 3 more games. It's gonna be hectic. The Cardinals versus the Panthers. I got the Cardinals.
yeah.
Clean
Give me the
sweep on this one.
yeah Cardinals.
All right. The Vikings versus the Seahawks.
I got the Vikings on this one. I think it's going to be a very tight knit game here. But I think the Vikings are going to win this game. I think they're going to keep themselves paced with Detroit until their matchup. Seahawks just can't seem to get out their own way when it comes to playing at home.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
just can't.
I got the Vikings also winning this game. Let's go ahead and move on to the Patriots and the Bills. Yeah, I like that percentage, bro. This is the game that if you're
How
betting, stay away from this. Stay away from picking the Buffalo Bills.
how
Okay,
did they give them 1%?
1% to the Patriots.
So you tell me they still got a chance?
You see that the margin minus 1,000.
Golly.
Dude, you losing money if you're picking the Bills. So Bills winning this game. Yeah, I agree. The Jaguars versus the Raiders.
The Raiders are a hot mess, man. I can't trust the Jaguars. I mean,
And how you gonna trust Mac Jones?
yeah.
Mac
But
Jones.
but can you trust Desmond Ritter in this situation too? I
It's one of them games that hey, you never know what you're gonna get, right?
exactly. Just
Yeah.
give me the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm just
I got that. I got the Jaguars too. Man, we're alike on this one. The
God.
49ers versus the Dolphins in Miami. I picked the 49ers. Yeah. And the Miami Dolphins actually released Odell Beckham Jr., by the way. So
Oh,
not
okay.
like it was a factor anyway, but the 49ers, I got them winning.
Okay. I know the Dolphins have been struggling. I picked them last week, and they just threw that game away against Houston. But I'm gonna go with them one more time. I'm gonna give the Dolphins another shot at it, and
All right, fair enough.
we're gonna stay afloat here. We're not gonna go belly up. We're gonna stay afloat, and we're gonna pick the
Oh yeah,
Dolphins
yeah.
one more time.
It's
So
a pick 'em game. All
yeah,
right.
I'm going with the Dolphins,
Buccaneers versus the Cowboys. Definitely the Buccaneers.
dude.
Settle your horses there, Cowboys.
The Buccaneers are 3-0 against the NFC East this year. In all three games, they've scored over 30 points or more. So they're averaging 33 points in the three victories over the NFC East. Okay. I mean, that is just a recipe for just perfect success. The Cowboys going to be added to that recipe for a little more flavor. Give me the Buccaneers.
All right, here we go. The Saints versus the Packers.
Oh, here comes the Saints. Come marching in, and they get packed up and sent home.
Wow. Where was where where did
I
this come
rehearsed.
from? Wow, you surprised me. I might have to send you to America's Got Talent.
I'm telling you, baby. Give me the
I'm with
Packers.
you. I got the Packers in this game as well. All right. And then we blacked out on this one because that was Hector V's final moments on Monday Night Football. All we little things. I should have started beatboxing. No.
You dropped the
Now,
ball.
all right. So how many games we got different? Two.
Two.
It seems that that was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I go perfect in this game and go 16-0. You know,
And you go
we'll see.
16-0. I'll take the 14-2. I would
All
love
right,
it.
fair enough. All right, listen, that wraps up our show, All Four Downs podcast. One more before we go. We'd like to say good luck to Bill Belichick as he accepted the job at the University of North Carolina. He is
Yeah.
now the Tar Heel. Oh
Tar
boy, let's
Heel.
see how much improvement he can make and connect with these youths because
National
this
champion.
ain't this ain't the NFL, baby. But more to it. Tune in to also on Tuesday, actually this weekend, post reactions of round one of the college football playoffs. And of course, predicting for the quarterfinals and moving on. It's gonna be interesting. Plus, NFL games we got it going on to right now, Saturday and Sunday and Monday night. So there
Yes.
is plenty of football going on this weekend. So on behalf of Hector V and myself, Obi-Wan, thank you for listening to our podcast. Subscribe below or put your comments. Let us know how you feel about this show and which games do you think are going to win. Oh, yeah. Take
Yeah.
care, everyone. Gotta love some football. Happy
Touchdown.
holidays. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Woo-hoo!